So I just want to preface this week's discussion with a little side chat that this group of people have. We've got like basically a Facebook chat in which we kind of converse and have conversation with on a daily basis. But randomly the other day, Derek just drops this picture into the chat. And I don't know if it's a real picture of Derek or what's going on, but it turns out that Derek is having a little bit of fun with AI.
Yes, someone put on their Facebook page, a friend of mine said, look, you can click on this and upload a picture and it shows you what you would look like as a hippie. So I was scared at first. I was like, oh God, is it going to make me pay for it or whatever? But no, I clicked on it, threw my picture in there. I was overwhelmed and immediately sent it to the group. I was like, everybody do this. It's amazing. Look how good I look.
So everyone did do it, basically. So I don't think this is what Jeff would look like as a hippie. Jeff, what choice did you make?
That was fashion model, but it kind of came across as 50 Shades of Jeff. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's like James Bond Jeff or something. Like something crazy's going on there. And then
you're giving me those like steel blue Zoolander eyes in that picture.
And then I went with the 80s option, which is just the hair. Like if my hair could do, look. If my hair could do that,
that's the best.
I would totally do that with my hair.
You look exactly like Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. From that movie.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. If you guys want to have a little bit of fun with AI, we did share the link to that engine over on the DVC Fan Patreon, patreon.com/DVC Fan. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I'm your host, Paul Krieger, and I'm joined as always this week by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger.
Hello.
We've got Senior Sales Associate with the DVC Resale Market, Derek DeBoer.
Hey now.
The wonderful Mr. John Sakari, aka Big Fat Panda, is with us.
Welcome home.
Jeff Haslam is hanging out with another new background this week.
I'll get it dialed in. Hey everybody.
And then we thought, why not bring another person into this group? And there's no one better than we thought of than Mr. Rob Lindsay. How you doing, Rob?
Very well. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, great to have you. I know, Derek, you kind of were the mastermind behind this. You had a meet up with Rob recently.
I did, yeah. It was great because Rob and I were kind of got back in touch together. He needed to maybe unload some of his, 30,000 points that he has with Disney Vacation Club. So he needed to sell a few contracts. And he said, hey, I just might happen to be in town. So we met up for a quick meet over there at Old Key West. And I just adore him. I just think Rob is just the greatest. And I knew it because I wanted to post a picture to DVC Fan of Rob and I. And when I posted it, the response was insane. It was insane.
Highest engagement of the month, I'm pretty sure. Like, just, you
broke
broke the internet, guys.
It broke the internet. And I was like, we've got to get Rob back on the show because people adore Rob. Rob is just the best stories, the best minds. So Rob, thank you for joining this motley bunch with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, he's survived about 30 minutes of technical issues and setup and all of that kind of fun stuff so far, and we've kept him around. So so glad to have you join us for this week's episode and a couple others that we're going to be filming. But tonight we're talking all about DVC news. So what's been happening in the DVC space recently? There's been a lot of news and information going on regarding the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort, the Trust. Some of us have chimed in on a recent live stream that we did, but we also wanted to get the opinion of, Derek, Panda, definitely get Rob's opinion because he has so much DVC knowledge and kind of get an idea of the future of that. But as always, this and all of our content here on DVC Fan is brought to you by the world of DVC. DVC Resale Market, if you're looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract. Monera Financial, who can help you with that DVC Resale Market contract purchase. and the DVC rental store, where you can try before you buy, rent some points, or rent out your own points if you don't plan on using them this year. And I just wanted to dive back into DVC resale market real quick. Derek, you guys have a pretty cool deal right now. Some pretty cool red hot deals going on right now. Can you give us a little bit more information on that?
Of course. Yes, Paul. Perfect segue, because the promotion launched just this past Sunday on the 21st. It is our red hot deal promotion. And guys, this promotion is absolutely huge. The response to this, we did it last year where we sold hundreds and hundreds of listings. The response just in the last few days, it's probably going to be even more than that this year. These are listings where sellers have agreed to list their Disney Vacation Club contract at an automatic 10% lower than the current market price. And the best part about it is, because it's 10% less, there's no haggling, there's no back and forth. It's kind of like some people have likened it to eBay, right? Where you see something, you like it, you click it, you buy it now. That's what folks are doing. So make sure you head over to the DVC resale market, check out, you can sort and filter by red hot deals. I think we've got about 70 or so. We have them coming and they're flying out as fast as we can get them. So check them out. It is a limited time promotion, so be sure not to miss it.
The last time that I think I was on eBay related to this show, I was looking at boxes of Quisp cereal. So nice little segue away from that, hopefully. But thanks, Derek, for sharing that.
These listings might be a little bit more expensive than a box of Quisp, but they'll last for generations to come. So it's definitely a better.
Unlike the Quisp.
Unlike the Quisp.
I don't know. Some of that Quisp is still around.
Some of it's still around, and some people are still trying to sell it. So who knows? But yeah, the first topic of tonight that I really wanted to dig into is all of the news that's been coming out regarding the Fort Wilderness cabins, which will actually be going on sale. This is going up on Monday. They will be going on sale to current members later this week on February 1st. This is the first time that members can actually add on at this new Disney Vacation Club property. And then on February 15th, those members can actually begin to book the cabins for later this year, starting July 1st, which is when the first loop of cabins is supposed to come online. And we unpacked this. I think, Jeff, you were on that show with us. We kind of talked all about those details. We also talked a little bit about what we're hearing with annual dues, which appear to be $12.15 per point, which is pretty steep. Derek, that's on par with your beloved Vero Beach Resort.
And that's a good reason why I actually don't own Vero Beach points. I love Vero Beach. I don't want to own points there. So yeah, $12 a point right out the gate. And as we all know, and I know we'll talk about it, they're only going to go up from there. So I was definitely kind of taken aback by that. Because usually when a new resort comes out, and Rob can attest because he's been a member forever, that's when the dues are like, oh, these dues are great, because guys like to talk about it and say, hey, the annual dues are only XXX. This is perfect. You'll see slight increases. This one right out the gate is like, here it is. It's crazy.
The number of times that Derek has said XXX on this show, I would just like to, if someone can make a compilation video for me, that would be amazing.
If someone can hearken back to see how many times I say XXX.
I deserve that.
I was just going to say it.
I deserved that. Rob, I'm going to start with you just because kind of new to this conversation related to the cabins and also the trust that we've kind of been rumoring about. And we don't fully know what that's going to entail, but give us just some of the thoughts that you've been having behind the scenes as you've either listened to us ramble and kind of said, no, you guys are terribly wrong and don't know what you're talking about, or whatever.
Well, I think the cabins is a great idea to introduce a lower cost item to the DVC family, but I'm a little concerned about what the cost per point is going to be. And certainly the dues is outlandish. Now, this was a long time ago, but dues at Old Key West when we purchased in 1993 were $2.56.
Oh, that's just.
Wait! You guys started cackling before I heard the end of it. $2.56 a point?
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
How do you not cackle at that? I mean.
And the cost was $56 a point.
I just can't even. I need a time machine
I feel like
immediately.
it wasn't
right?
even that long ago.
No.
Rob bought the
You don't think-
Rob bought the original red hot deal back in 1993. So I just want to make that clear.
That's right. Now, it was a little better in 91 when it was $51 a point.
That's just
Wait, in 10 years from now, we're going to be watching this stuff, laughing about these prices. So
That's
It's
right.
true.
That's very true, and I've heard from so many people just since the cabins have come online, saying similar sentiments. Like, if only I had known the that Disney Vacation Club was going to cost so much more 20 years from now. I'll just share a quick story. Many people in the audience probably know who Scott Gustin is. Scott and I chat behind the scenes here and there when it comes to Disney Vacation Club, but he told me one day, he goes, Disney Vacation Club is the best, worst decision ever for me. It's the greatest decision ever because I bought in, and the worst decision ever because I didn't buy enough points at that time when I bought it. And that's the historical statement, which is why we always kind of say you should think about getting a little bit extra points off the get-go. But the entire DVC resale market team is always going to be there to help you with that add-on itis bug whenever it strikes as well. But Panda, we didn't get your thoughts on the cabins and all of the news that dropped the other day either. What's it kind of sparked in your mind?
I am really excited about the cabins. I can't wait to try to stay there. After the dues, though, I would never add on there, even if it was a thought. Like, the dues scare me away. I don't know how many other people scare away, but I'm hoping it makes it available for me to book it with my Riviera contract. And I love the inside of them. A lot of people are not liking the layout. I kind of like it, I guess, because I'm thinking of nieces and nephews and things, and I can, what I can do there. But the cost per point, it seems, if we are correct in the rumors, pretty reasonable. Not the dues, but the cost to actually,
Yep, exactly. And speaking of cost per point, that is one aspect of the cabins that we are not aware of yet. So that's kind of a mystery. Since we are a couple days away, though, and this will age very, very well, let's go around the room and make our estimates as to where this might come in. And I'll just give you a quick little lowdown of where we are headed as of February 1st, which is Riviera and Aulani are increasing their price per point up to $225 as of January 30th, February 1st. So that same cycle, that same time frame. And Villas at the Disneyland Hotel is moving all the way up to $239 per point. So I'll start with my lovely wife, Amy.
Okay. My guess is $225 a point, in line with Riviera and Aulani, with incentives that can get it as low as $205 a point.
Ooh, that's
If you buy like a lot of points.
pretty specific. Derek, what are your thoughts?
I agree with your lovely wife 100%. I think it's going to start just based on what Disney does. Is everything is usually around that for live inventory. It's usually around that exact same price per point, but it's going to be, the big question is going to be how deep are these discounts going to be? And I think they're going to be really, really deep. So I think that they're going to want to come out of the gate selling a lot of points. And I think these promos are going to make people go, man, I'd be silly not to buy points here. I think they'll literally downplay the annual dues quite a bit, because I think a lot of people, a lot of guides are going to get some pushback when it comes to, whoa, what were the dues on that? Okay, so if I buy 300 points, you're going to want to know how much are my annual dues on 300 points, right? Like Amy said, usually the bigger the point packages, the bigger the discount. So when you get up into these larger point packages of, 250, 300, 350, your discount's going to be mammoth, but you got to pay dues on those points. So I think when people look to see how much are those dues going to be, that's where it's going to be, I might have to go home and think about this.
And to your point, the dues on 300 points is $3,645.
Woo! That stings
thanks.
a little bit. Yep, that becomes hard to. And the other thing that's going to be interesting is looking at the price of the cabins cash after they are refurbished. Because Amy and I, for full disclosure, we booked a cabin for July 1st. Now, we fully expect that on July 1st, we're going to get an old and busted cabin. We just want to be we just want to be on property and be there for the grand opening of the cabins. And we're begging that someone in this lovely Disney Vacation Club community is going to invite us and let us film their cabin if we're not able to get one of those opening day cabins. So if you are out there, please send us an email, info@dvcfan.com, and we would love to be your guest if you do snag a cabin for opening day. But we're going to be there in one of those cabins, but just a little bit over $300 per night. So you're talking about, I'm going to have to book at least 10 plus nights in a cabin to get close to that cost, plus the initial cost. They're going to have to probably raise the cash price of the cabins, I assume, to make this make sense.
Yeah. And I think they will, because now we're classifying these as DVC Deluxe.
Yeah.
So now you get the deluxe benefits of, the park's late, which really is that about it? But anyway, that's it.
That's it.
And maybe you pay the upgraded deluxe parking if you pay cash. I don't know. So it's a kind of a wash, but.
Rob, you've been on this roller coaster for some time. What are your thoughts related to the price that these cabins are going to come in at?
Well, I would agree with Derek and Amy in the price, but I'm still concerned about what explanation is going to be given of the trust, other than to say it's like Riviera, and what are they going to include in the access to that trust? So I'm still shocked at the annual dues, and I have to wait and see.
Yep, we'll know before too long. Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're in the ballpark at 225, if I'm guessing. It's kind of one of those things that, yeah, DVC does get discounted heavily the more points you buy, but this one's kind of an anomaly because the point charts aren't in line with Riviera, where you would need a bunch of points. You know what I mean? Like 300 points is going to go a lot further at these cabins than they are in a Riviera one bedroom. And so I don't see people buying a lot of points unless those discounts are so significant that it makes up the difference. But, we've been talking a lot about the $12.15 dues and comparing it to Vero Beach. But Vero Beach you can buy on resale for like $50, right? So there's a lot of daylight between $225 and $59. I don't know. I think they're going to struggle more than they have. I can see this being an Aulani thing, honestly.
Yeah, and I have a lingering question, and maybe someone out in the audience can let us know in the comments, but how aggressive either have they been with advertising the cabins to those that typically have stayed there historically, or after February 1st, how aggressive do they get with those individuals to try to get them to buy in? Because I'm not in either of those camps, but I have to imagine we've said this, and the more that it sinks in, I think that I agree with the mindset that this is not a product for the traditional Disney Vacation Club member. This is a product that is built for these people that historically have stayed in these accommodations. And I've had many people reach out to us over on Instagram and in other places sort of saying, listen to your show. I completely understand why you guys don't necessarily see the value of the cabins right now. This is our family's interpretation of someone that has stayed there historically year after year, and why we're so excited for this product. And so those are the people that this is really geared towards. I really hope that in the future we actually have a show with having some of those people on so that they can explain kind of that mindset as well, because I think that would be very good to kind of just get that perspective of a different type of client that Disney Vacation Club is going after.
I swear I have never seen the DVC booth at Fort Wilderness open. The one that's over by Hoop-Dee-Doo.
Over by Hoop-Dee-Doo, yeah.
I have never seen anybody in it.
I feel like one of the first times we ever went to Hoop-Dee-Doo, I feel like it was open and there was like a special photo op or something like that we did.
I think it was just a photographer taking photos in that area.
Oh,
I don't think it was related to the booth. But we've been there twice in the last few months. I've never seen it open. So
I imagine it'll be getting busy here in about a week or two. So Panda, what are your thoughts?
I've learned never to vote against Amy. So whatever she says, I'm all for it. That's where I get my information anyway.
Yep.
Whatever Amy says, I'm ditto.
Whatever Amy says goes. I'm her husband, and I agree with that.
I actually think she
sentiment.
sets it, and we just don't know it. She sets the pricing and everything.
Yeah, no, she's got the lever. I agree with
That's another one of his words.
lever.
Yeah, you said it like 20 times one episode.
Yeah.
Jeff knows.
You guys made me snort. Oh my gosh, that's gonna get edited
We got a
out.
Jeff snort on that one. So
Oh.
everybody sound clip that little segment here in the DVC show. When it comes to pricing, I will be honest. When I originally heard about the cabins, I thought that we were pushing ourselves towards a premium offering that is kind of the new premium Disney World offering. But with everything that's come out, I don't think that they can do that. You know, I originally thought that this was going to be the new premium Grand Floridian product that replaced it, because Grand Floridian was in line with where Disneyland Hotel was pricing wise. So if Grand Floridian was still on sale and still actively being sold as a new property right now, assuming it would have moved up to the $239 threshold as well. So originally thinking this through, I thought that's where the cabins were going to be pushed, but I don't think they have any chance of doing that with these dues being where they're going to be. I just think that the dues are going to be the conversation point in all of these sales agreement. And Derek, maybe you can kind of give us an idea of what those conversations used to look like. Like, I feel like if you get too far in the weeds with the nitty gritty, most likely you're going to not close that sale versus the alternative.
It's funny because you were just talking, and I'm literally thinking to myself, and I'm thinking, if I'm a guide, when you sign up to, take a Disney Vacation Club tour, the biggest thing that people want to see when they learn about DVC and they see the folks in the parks is, I want to see the villas. How can I take a villa? That's the nugget that, those folks in the park are, well, if you sign up for a tour, we can show you the studio, we can show you the 1-bedroom, we could show you the 2-bedroom, we could show you the 3-bedroom. And these are not anywhere where people can directly see. So I'm literally thinking, what the work that they're going to have to do is to literally get people, they're going to have to shuttle them, right, to Fort Wilderness. And they're going to have to do their tours at Fort Wilderness, because if someone's going to buy it, they're obviously going to want to see it. They're going to want to see what they're buying. They're going to want to walk through it. So that whole process to me is just much, much different than when you're learning about Disney Vacation Club. Everybody knows, selling the Grand Floridian, everyone knows what it is. Oh yeah, you're going to buy the Grand right over there. You're going to buy the new Poly Tower. It's right over there. You're going to buy Riviera right on the Skyliner. It's right there. You're going to buy Fort Wilderness. Where's that? Well, hop in a van and we're going to take you to Fort Wilderness past the horse stables, and then we're going to go take you this. You might lose people that say, well, I don't want that. That seems kind of far away. So as much as some of the stuff that people love about the cabins, right? Oh, I'm so far removed, it doesn't feel like I'm at Disney. Most of the people are like, when I buy Disney Vacation Club, I want to be smack dab right in the middle of the magic, right? I want to be able to walk to the parks, take a monorail, be right there and see it. So I think they're going to have an uphill battle unless they can put one of these, cabins somewhere where they can tour someone, right there. People are going to have to be shuttled over to Fort Wilderness, and they might not even want to go through that whole entire process. So to me, it's definitely I don't want to use my points there. It's just not my cup of tea. So the end of the day, I'm not using my points there. I want to stay at a Disney Vacation Club resort that's right next to the park. That's what I personally love about it. So more power to anyone else that wants it. You can take my points, and I'm not using them there.
Yep.
Derek, how do you really feel?
I don't think I'm going to use my points there.
Are you sure you don't plan to use any points there? Go ahead, Rob.
Let me look.
For a number of years, my wife was a travel agent working only with Disney properties and cruises. And she had a number of clients with young children that loved the Fort Wilderness cabins. And they wanted to go there every time they went. But it's a unique subset of the Disney visitor, I believe.
Right.
Yep.
I fully agree with that. And I think that's why, even to Derek's point, us, the traditional DVC people, we probably aren't all of that interested in this. And I think this is, I've said this in so many shows. I wish I could see the metric of add-on purchasers and new purchasers when it comes to points? Like, what did that equate to with the Grand Floridian? I think that something like the Grand Floridian, when they added Big Pine Key, add-on purchases was huge. Like those things were flying off the shelves with current members because they've experienced the struggle that it is to get into the original villas at Grand Floridian at the 7-month window. And so those people are like, but I still want to stay at the Grand Floridian. Oh, this is my best chance ever. Let's buy, let's add on. And so you're not experiencing that here, but you're going to experience that probably with the Polynesian. Yep. And so this is kind of a test. I agree. It's probably going to take maybe a smidge longer to sell. But
it just seems to me like it just seems to me, Paul, which is exactly what you just said. It's more like for the members that have had their membership for a long time, it might be a novelty thing. Like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to try to get into the cabins and maybe do it once. And maybe, who knows, maybe you fall in love with it, or you might do it and say, okay, like, Space 220, it's one and done and I'm never going to do it again. But I'm glad I got to do it, but I don't want to do it every single year. The people that have their Disney Vacation Club point, they're always like, we love this resort. It's our home resort. We always stay here every single time. I just don't see that. Like, we always have folks that say, God, you know what? We finally got into the beach club, right? We've always tried it 7 months out. We've never been able to get it. We finally got in. Oh my God, we love it. We need to add points there. I don't know how many folks are going to try it as a novelty and then say, by God, we've got to buy points here because I want to come back here every single year. It'll be interesting to see.
But if they do those marketing aspects that I mentioned before correctly, I think that this will sell quicker than we think because they're marketing properly to those historic cabin stayers.
Everybody checking into Fort Wilderness is going to get a brochure.
There you go. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Whether they're in a campsite or whether they're in a cabin.
They're going to get a brochure and a vacation guide to literally sleep in the room with them. It all comes.
They're gonna hop right in the golf cart with you and drive down the road.
Right.
Does Saratoga still have the showroom with the mock-up rooms? So couldn't they could make a cabin in there if they really wanted to.
They could, sure.
That would be smart.
They could just wheel one in.
They could just wheel one in like a food truck at the. They could just pull it into the boardwalk if they wanted to.
Too soon, Bandit. Too soon.
Well, and to that point, just really quick, Paul. You brought up the Poly, which I wasn't going to, but now we're talking Poly and Riviera, both for sale. They're going to be for sale, presumably at this. There's going to be some overlap with these cabins. Either one of those resorts are $3 or $4 a due cheaper, when it comes to dues. And so when people are looking at these cabins and going, oh, I can buy this, or I can buy at Riviera, or I can buy at the Poly for the same amount, less a significant amount of dues. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, I think, and my niece loves Fort Wilderness. And that's why I fell in love with it, because I went and enjoyed it with her and her family. And I was like, okay, I see it. But I think, like Rob says, there's a certain sect of people that are just Fort Wilderness people, and they know who they are. I think there's an audience for those cabins.
Those people have attacked us in the comments, and they've been like, you're not the Fort Wilderness people, so don't come to our place.
Well, and I admit I'm not a Fort Wilderness person, but I wanted to be up until recently, but I keep going back to the fact that, are there enough of those to sell however million points they're going to sell? I don't know how many, but it's such a small subset to me. It seems like to go all in on this, but
do we know how many cabins there are?
Like 300
350.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would have
Which
guessed
is actually
like 50.
less than how many cabins there are right now.
I think they are replacing all of them, though.
Oh,
so
are they?
I think that number is a little bit.
They've got to.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not going to leave a couple old and rustic.
They originally came out with a number that was lower than the amount of cabins. So do you remember that?
They did. And I think part of that might relate to maybe they're holding a couple back for themselves that just might be historically
I didn't know
cash.
if they wanted extra land or something.
No,
yeah, maybe there's a new laundromat coming in one of those sections or something.
But we have seen some of the first pictures over on Disboards. They are starting to prep for the construction work of the cabins. So basically, they're kind of laying down what I'll call the road to the cabins, which is these giant planks that they're putting down on top of some grass and things like that, so that essentially they can then roll these cabins into position and pull the old ones out. And we do know now, based off of the information we've gathered, that this is going to be done in phases. So we're going to see basically them move all of the cabins in, probably for loop one. We'll then see them come in, kind of set those up, build the decks and stuff to make those ready, and then bring those online, and then do the same and same and same, kind of in phases throughout.
And there's like 6 loops? 6 or 7 loops. I counted
Your
the
guess
other
is
day.
as good as mine.
No, I can't remember.
If you counted, then you've done more than I've had.
I did.
More
It
than
was,
I have.
I think it was 6, but it might have been 7.
Jeff kind of takes us to a good kind of segue in this discussion, though, over to the Polynesian as to what's going to happen with the Polynesian over there. And Rob, I want to go back to you because you mentioned the trust. We don't know what's going to happen with the trust. This group of people has speculated about the trust a little bit, but when we see kind of this product come online, and maybe also related to the Polynesian expansion, what in your head do you think Disney Vacation Club is trying to do with this new trust product?
Well, I think they're going to have a vehicle that they can use to download the 2042 resorts in another, and they may not be thinking that far in advance, but they're between now and that time, they've got what any new resort they're going to build, they can put into that trust.
Yep. So it's kind of they're kind of setting the framework for that, which I agree with what you said. You know, they're probably not necessarily fully thinking about that, but the wheels are in motion with probably the best plan that has ever been put out there as a potential of what's going to happen that year, because everyone throws up all these ideas. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the communities out there like, oh, they're going to extend our ownership and we're going to own longer. I can guarantee you that's not what Disney does. That's not Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse likes Mickey bucks.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. I don't
went
think
so
they
well.
want to flip 6 resorts at the same time. So I think Rob's right on the money there. I think as they keep selling direct at Old Key West, those are all getting pushed to 2057 anyway. So they'll have some time with that one, but everything else, they don't want to do that. They don't want to be in the same position they're in next year, trying to sell 5 resorts. In fact, Aulani will probably still be for sale in 2042. Let's be honest.
I will take that bet 100%. Yeah, that is definitely going to still be hanging on by a thread. So when it comes to the Polynesian, something that I've not fully put out there in the world yet in terms of an article, but has been in the back of my mind, is that recently we received a lot of news from Disney Parks and Disney Parks blog, and it was all related to what's happening in 2024. What kind of things are coming this year as part of the 2024 Disney Parks news. And we heard about the cabins. We heard about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We heard about all the fun stuff that's still happening over at Epcot. But there was one noticeable absence to the 2024 news that the last we knew was slated for 2024.
They didn't mention Polynesian.
They did not mention the Polynesian Tower whatsoever. And so that kind of has me thinking that this has most likely been pushed off to the first part of 2025. Granted, I have nothing to go off of officially to make that decision, but what are your guys' thoughts? You kind of some of you have been nodding along with that. Do we think that the Polynesian is kind of getting just delayed ever so slightly, just to allow the cabins to do their thing for a little bit?
If they didn't mention it in that lineup, I agree with you, Paul.
100%. 100%. They're going to wait till 2025. Though, if there were no new resorts coming out for Disney Vacation Club for the next couple of years, right? Then you'd say, okay, yeah, they're going to go ahead and announce it. With these cabins, they're going to need to put all the bells, all the whistles, all the hoopla has to be around those cabins, because once the Polynesian opens, I'm sorry, who's going to go buy Disney Vacation Club for the first time? Again, like you said, unless you're a cabin lover, you're going to look to say, wait a second, I could own that beautiful new building right there that's right on the monorail and right near the Magic Kingdom and everything else, or I could buy a cabin. Well, I think I'm going to go with that building there. So I think they're going to push that back as far as they can, because they need all guns blazing to promote these cabins. 100%, 2025.
Well, and I think taking it a step further, I don't know that it's even necessarily all about the cabins, although I'm sure that weighs into the decision. But, and I hate to be the guy that says this all the time, but Disney has had trouble building things lately. It took them like 17 years to build Tron. It took them like 15 years to build a park at Epcot. Universal's built a whole theme park in that time. We still don't have a cake shop at BoardWalk. And you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know that it's a conscious decision, or they're just like, it ain't going to be done.
The cake shop is coming on a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
The cake shop's coming on a truck. Yep.
You could pull out front.
Oh
at least.
boy. Oh, we've not even gotten to the food truck news, but it's so ingrained in us. Like, we want to talk about it so bad.
We were, I mean, we were lucky that Disneyland Villas was done when we stayed. I mean,
It smelled like fresh paint the day when we walked into the villas.
They were not done. Like, it definitely opened sooner than they needed more time.
Yeah, the bar out front was delayed, and that was not ready on opening day. It amazes me how you see a company like Universal basically through a pandemic just build a coaster from nothing, and we all see it going up, but like no one really talks about it, and then it's just like, it's open next week, and it's like, what just happened? And it's the craziest coaster. I still, hands down, craziest coaster in Orlando, Florida, and the best coaster in Orlando, Florida, Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure.
Wrong, Guardians. Go ahead.
I like Velocicoaster better, but
we're done about 8. I can meet you guys at Velocicoaster before they close.
Deal. That sounds
we've got to move
perfect.
closer to there.
Yeah. If only it was like a 5-minute commute, that would be so attractive. We'll just start filming it in Derek's old lair that he used to film these shows from.
Yeah, I'll light some candles.
But yeah, no, the construction could be, it looks like it's coming along very good from the outside. You know, every time we look at the outside of the Polynesian Tower, it looks like they've moved further along, but we have to also remember that when you look inside, it's still a shell. So they've got to build out the shell. And that kind of finishing work is what in construction kind of takes the longest. And
I saw an accent wall on like 5 different floors. It was cool.
Yeah.
But that was all I could see. It was only one little like strip going down.
There's some wooden trussels going up on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's going to look amazing, because it's funny because you see people now like, I just saw it. It's white and it just doesn't fit in with the current Polynesian. And I'm like, it's primer. They're putting primer on it. They're not going to make a white Polynesian building. Let them finish it first.
I hope you eat.
It'll look amazing.
I hope you eat those words and it's just completely white. Every inch of it. Just a full sterile look from top down. When the Polynesian comes online, going back to the pricing that we talked about with the cabins, what are your guys' thoughts? Is this going to come in probably at a higher price point or a lower price point or similar? What are they going to try to do with those points to kind of move those along? Because historically, Polynesian dues have been better than $12.15 per point, like Jeff said. And so it makes it more of an attractive of a property. So they'll probably play with that lever a little bit more. Jeff?
Lever.
Jeez. I'm just going to stop talking. Amy takes a drink. If you're playing the home game, I mean, our podcast at least is entertaining. I hope that if anything in the past 6 months with this podcast, you've said, boy, they're entertaining.
It's just water and cranberry juice.
Out of a mason jar from West Virginia.
Moonshine.
Mason jar.
But Rob, thoughts on the Polynesian, where that's going to come in at, and when that might appear in terms of active sales?
I'd rather wait till Amy says what she thinks.
I agree with you.
$249.
I would have said the same thing.
Rob has ingrained himself into this community very, very, very quickly. He understands how we roll.
$249.
Like a glove.
$249. So you think they're going to hover just right below that $250 threshold?
Yes. You can't make it $250. You have to make people feel better by
$249.99.
Yeah, because the one's $239.
That is true. Yep,
I'm gonna go with $249.
Oh,
It's got to be more than the cabins anyway.
Yeah.
more than the cabins. Panda?
Yes, it has to be a perfect point, Rob. that will be more than the cabins or the other ones, because they need to make the cabins again look like, okay, so if you don't want to spend this much money for the poly, have you seen our cabins? Look, they're X amount, per point. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I could buy those instead, and I could still use my cabin points to stay at the poly. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll buy that one. So yeah, it's a great point, Rob.
Or we've got this other resort down here we've forgotten about called the Riviera. It's only been for sale for the past 10 years.
Not been that long.
Let me ask you this question then,
Don't you
Derek.
crap on my
because
Riviera.
we've been bouncing back and forth on this, and we got to price it higher, we got to price it lower than this. But Aulani's been on sale since like 1972, and they haven't sold out, and they're never going to. Why aren't they dropping that price instead of raising it? If that's really the go-to strategy, do you know what I'm asking? Like,
Right. No, I mean, I agree. I just don't think that they want to make it look like it's struggling. You know how like when you maybe discount something, it's like, oh, why is it so heavily discounted? Is it not? Is it broke? Like, is that why it's cheaper than the other ones, or why is that? So
Yeah,
you don't want to,
optics.
make it.
Are there
You don't
bugs?
want to make it look. Yeah. You don't want to make it look like it's a weaker option per se. So I think that's the only reason, because if they literally wanted to sell the points at Aulani, Jeff, you're 100% right. Just drop that price. Have a fire sale and say, hey, for the next 6 months, get Aulani. Here's the price. They could blow through those points. They wanted to sell those Grand Floridian points. That was a conscious effort. That when they put those on sale, they discounted the out of those points, and people were like, oh my God, this is too good for me to pass up, and they flew through the points. So it does work, but I don't know why, because like you said, they're going to be selling that stuff forever.
yeah,
And they did for a while. Like, I wouldn't say that they discounted them for a while, but they at least had better incentives for a period of time on Aulani.
Right.
But now they're just like, meh,
Take it or leave it.
just take it or leave it. You want to buy
Yeah.
out here? That's fine.
Honestly, cash prices at Aulani are so high. Maybe they're doing just fine, with the hotel cash prices. I don't know.
I guess.
Could
And
be.
it's and Aulani is a harder one too for us to fully gauge, because it's harder to, look at the deeds out there. It's harder to kind of understand how much have they declared versus what they haven't declared. I mean,
Yeah, the deeds are like hieroglyphics. You have to pay for them, otherwise they're
Amy
like.
spends her days having to do this over at Monera, so
Yes.
she's
And I try to like not have to buy them. Like, I don't personally have to buy them, but I buy them for Monera, and I try to read the hieroglyphics.
Oh,
Some of them I can, some aren't. Some are really hard.
Derek, do you get very many Aulani resales?
Yeah. We actually do. And a lot of it is from members that are looking to add on because they went to Aulani, and they were able to book it at 7 months, and they completely fell in love with it. And then they realized and said, hey, you know what? I think we want to be able to go, but we really want to go during busier times of year. Because I think every member will attest, Aulani ain't that hard to get into at 7 months or less, except if it's during like the crazy busy times of year.
Yeah.
If I want that, ocean view room during a busy time, that prime time, then it does help to own points there. But there are thousands of members that own Aulani points, because for a while, when I was a direct guide, that was the only product that we had. For a while, I think so. I almost remember we had so many people buying Aulani just because it was cheap. They had no intention of ever staying there. They still have never been to Aulani, right? They live on the East Coast. They go, I don't know, I've never been. We just use our points to stay at the Polynesian. We use our points to stay at Walt Disney World. We've never been. Maybe we'll go, but we really don't have any desire to go. So yeah, you nailed it perfectly. It's so funny. So keep the price per point the same so it doesn't look quote unquote, discounted or whatever. But then with the promos is where you have your wiggle room. That's where, as a guy, you could bring out and say, make it a perfect drop product, right? To say, yes, it's listed at $225. However, are you thinking about Aulani? Because let me tell you, you could still use it here at Walt Disney World. And the promos we have, look at these things. And they reach into their, bag of tricks and come out, and it's discounted $30, $40 a point. You could easily have more sales than that, because products like the Polynesian will probably not have huge promos when it comes out of the gate. The Grand Floridian, when the Grand went on sale for the very first time, there were 0 promos for the Grand, and it sold like crazy. So I don't think the Poly's going to have big discounts at all.
Do you think with the cabins at Fort Wilderness, like one of the first promos we see is like a free golf cart with your first stay or something?
It's
Something
not a
crazy?
bad idea.
Not a bad idea, but they make a lot of money on golf carts. If you've ever priced a golf
they're
cart,
as much as car rentals.
they are
Mhm.
like on par with a car rental for a week at Fort
Right.
Wilderness. So
Can you bring
And
your
throw
own?
that in
Yes,
too, right?
you can bring your
now,
own.
Yeah.
Now I bought there, so I've got crazy high dues. I have to pay for a golf cart, and oh yeah, I want to bring my 2 dogs. So now my stay is costing me, $84,000 to stay in a cabin for a whole week because of all these things that I want. No thanks.
we're gonna put a disclaimer right under his $84,000 comment. Not true pricing.
Derek's not staying there. I'm not staying there.
Derek's not staying there. He'll send his dog before he goes. So, Panda, you've brought this up twice tonight already, I think, and so I think you're tore up the most about this. But Big River Grill over the boardwalk, in terms of Disney Vacation Club news, Big River Grill has closed. And what, you were there every Tuesday night? Like you were a regular or never?
I went about 3 times in the past 10 years, and it never was that great. And I found a big bone that I crunched on in a hamburger. So I thought, nah, I never went back after that.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I asked them about it, they told me they grind their own meat. So in a way, it was fresh. But if you're going to give me a bone that's going to break my jaw, I don't care how fresh it is. So yeah, no.
There
Well,
goes
not a
our
fan.
sponsorship with Big River Grill. Thank God they're busy.
Yeah, there goes our sponsorship. No, I think the whole company kind of went.
It's
Kaput.
always sad, to see something like that because those are people's jobs,
Yeah.
that
Agreed.
they just lost. So there is an aspect of it that's sad, and there are people that liked it, but at the same time, just like what Panda said, like we never enjoyed it, and so hopefully we see something exciting fill that spot.
But in the meantime, rolling down the boardwalk are food trucks. And if you had something on your 2024 bingo card that was going to be a controversy in the DVC space, it was not the fact that food trucks were coming to Disney's Boardwalk Resort, but there are opinions galore on this whole topic. And I was not at least prepared for that. But essentially, in the time being in which we don't know what's going to replace Big River Grill, there are going to be occasional food trucks that come to Disney's Boardwalk. The first one came the day after they closed. Oddly enough, they were only there from 10 to 4, which doesn't really sort of speak to prime time boardwalk time, because I think the boardwalk wakes up at 4. Derek, you can attest to that. You're a boardwalk lover. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really kind of start. You don't start. Derek doesn't start boogieing in the Atlantic Dance Hall until after 4.
Right. When I put that fanny pack on and I dance to the 80s music at the empty Atlantic Dance, that's exactly what I do. No, it was weird because people were saying that, yeah, they were there from 10 to 4. And I'm like, well, wait a second. You mean when people...
60s.
Perfect segue. Yeah, like, why have your food truck there when everybody's at the parks? Like, the whole point is when you come back to the boardwalk from Epcot, when you come back from the studios, when you come back from the parks, you're at the boardwalk, you're like, hey, honey, what do you want to do for dinner? And that's what the boardwalk is lacking so bad. That's at least, I mean, call it maybe bad food or what. The ESPN was so perfect there. It was so perfect because it was a place you could go eat if it was last minute. You could watch a sporting event there. Big River Grill has the most amazing location, right? To sit there on the boardwalk, it's absolutely beautiful.
Did.
But like Panda said,
I was
Just
really hanging on that word. Like, what is he going to say? Amazing beer, amazing wings.
location. Because the
They were at
beer
the
was
boardwalk.
never good.
Meat
The beer was
bones?
yeah. The beer
It is
was
a
never
strange
good.
space inside.
Oh,
It's like
I
a
very
would
small.
never-
Yeah, long
would
and narrow.
Never eat inside at Big River. It was I would flat out refuse. It was always looked dirty. Like there was always like a high chair tipped over and there's food all over the floor. Sitting
There's like a
outside-
column in the middle of wherever you are in there. It's a very weird space.
It's so bizarre, but that location outside is perfect, right? To sit
It's
there on the
perfect.
boardwalk and watch everybody go by. It was great. It deserves something. It deserves something. I hope it's some kind of a place just to get a burger. Maybe a local brewery can do something, a place to go watch sporting events, because we all know that we will now have our fancy cake and afternoon Victorian tea needs fulfilled with the cake shoppy. That's going to open. I can't wait for that. But no, eat something hearty, something cool right there at the boardwalk.
Expect one of the next DVC show topics just to be Derek's raw opinions.
No, as soon as a cake bake shop opens, we're taking Derek for
Our
food review.
Yeah, Sunday tea time.
I'm so excited for it, but I'm also a girl, so
I'm excited for it. You and I used to always talk about we wanted to do the tea time at Grand Floridian, and
Paul
we
has
wanted
a
to do.
feminine side too.
I do. And we wanted to do. Was it? Where was the other tea?
The one at
Waldorf.
Yeah, the Waldorf Astoria. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like small edible sandwiches and sweets? And
Derek, he wants a beer and a burger.
Derek wants a beer and a burger with a bone sticking out of it.
Yeah. People later will be like, I saw Derek. He was staying in a cabin and having tea at the boardwalk. He lied on that show. What happened?
Show of hands, just real quick. And I apologize for the audio listeners. I'll kind of recap who doesn't raise their hand. Is anyone strongly opinionated one way or another about this whole food truck thing? No one raised their hands for the audio listeners out there.
No, I kind of give Disney props for trying to bring in something, because as good as Trattoria Al Forno is and Flying Fish and those things, they are on the pricier side. So it's nice to have, a more affordable option. But man, the hate that it got, I don't get it.
I didn't get it either.
Better than nothing.
It was next level, and I have to tell all of those people, if you are hating on this, go to New Jersey for a vacation this summer and go to Atlantic City Wildwood Boardwalk and just get a feel for the vibe there, and also how the food truck scene has picked up in those areas. It fits. It works. It is with
in
the
keeping
boardwalk
with
crowd.
that theory. They're going to hire people to rob you on the boardwalk also, just to make it feel more like New Jersey.
That took a turn I wasn't expecting. But.
I think some of the hate too, which I've heard people say too, is that it doesn't match the theme. Yes, it's boardwalk, but this is kind of turn of the century Atlantic City boardwalk, not modern day boardwalk. So I think that's what I've read. A few people say it just doesn't kind of blend in, and it's not cheap either. It's not cheap. It's like $15-$16 for a burger. It's not cheap.
But it's temporary, right? We're not keeping trucks there.
Right. And it rotates.
All
It's not
right.
even the same truck every time.
Yeah. I just don't want it to give them an excuse to not put something else in the Big River spot. Give us a quick service even there would be awesome, actually.
They will in 7 years. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Well, and my answer to the people that are hating on the fact that Big City closed, Big River, what is it called? I don't even know. I never went in there.
Big River.
River City.
Are the same people that are mad that Country Bears is changing when they haven't been in there since 1984. So
Yeah.
let's just roll with it. I'm going to get so much emails for that.
No, it's true. I can't believe Big River's closing. When was the last time you were there?
Let it out.
Back in 83.
Email jeff@jeff.com.
Do it. Pull that lever.
There's going to be some poor guy checking his emails going, I don't know what I did.
That's the email that I use when I just want to get into something to see it and not give someone my email is amy@amy.com. So I really hope that doesn't exist because I always use that.
Mine's
There is
no
an
at
Amy
no.no. So we covered the Big River Grill closure. The only other two small things I had kind of on our news list. First, DVC is still going gung-ho with these first wave sailings. So the newest first wave sailing is actually an Adventures by Disney trip to, I think, Belgium. Is that it? So what?
I can't afford to look at it, so I didn't.
It's a good point. But I think, Holland and Belgium is to where this Adventures by Disney is. It's not until 2025, but the most interesting thing that was part of this is that historically with these first wave sailings. All these first wave sailings are an exclusive opportunity to be one of the first people to actually travel on one of these adventures. So if you are looking to experience, this is a new Adventures by Disney that they just launched, and if you want to be one of the first people to do it, Disney Vacation Club allows you that opportunity. Now, historically, that has come with the cost of at least one person on that sailing needing to use points for that booking. And so the only interesting thing here is either they're listening to this show and they're hearing us complain about this time and time again, or these first wave sailings are just not booking well because they can actually, this sailing can be booked with cash exclusively.
Well, I think they had to, though, because nobody has that many points. Like, we don't know how many points it's going to be, but we're talking about Adventures by Disney, which is bonkers price. So I imagine
a little more than a $15 hamburger for sure.
Yeah, I think they had to waive the point requirement because they wouldn't have enough members that have that many points to even book one person with points.
Rob has enough points. I think he can do it.
Rob, are you going?
Rob, I heard
to himself.
Rob, I heard you're taking us all.
Also, no.
I'll wave goodbye from the dock.
Point charts for this sailing and pricing for this sailing do come out on Valentine's Day of all days, so February 14th. So if you are interested in that exclusive opportunity, that you can take advantage of that. And then the last piece of news that I had here was a recent change to Moonlight Magic. So at the time of this show going up, we will have actually already gone to the first Moonlight Magic event of 2024 at Epcot. And the registration for that happened, but a surprising thing happened to certain people that were looking to register for that event. Historically, with Disney Vacation Club, those people that are looking to be a part of the pre-registration window for a Moonlight Magic event either have to have a room reservation booked on points, or they can also have a room reservation booked on cash. Now, in no point did Disney Vacation Club disclose any changes to this, but in the couple days leading up to the pre-registration, we started hearing rumblings of this, and then, of course, on pre-registration day, it occurred. But the new rule is essentially that
you have to be staying on your points, or you have to be staying in a room booked through cash with member services, which means that they can only book deluxe DVC villas. So it would have to be a very expensive per night room or your points. So that limited all those members that would get a room at Pop Century or Coronado Springs. And I can't say we haven't done that, because we have.
Yeah.
It didn't affect us this time because we're using all of our points for, but it did affect a lot of people. And it's not, the change isn't terrible. It did allow more members staying on their points to get in. It did make it easier. So It's not a terrible change. It's just not, it was not communicated well. It should have been communicated ahead of time. It should have been pointed out as a new policy change so that the members were well aware, so they didn't waste their time waiting in that queue for, however long on a work day. So that's kind of where I stand on it, even though you didn't ask.
Now, I just had the shot on us because the rest of you always just agree with her. So any any rebuttals
true.
or
Nope.
No.
I mean, I agree that it's probably a good change. I know it upset a lot of people, but I think it takes out some of the hacks that people were using to kind of get around using their points, like booking a tent space at Fort Wilderness that sleeps like 12 people for $9 a night or something, that that's not what it's for. So I think this is honestly a good crackdown, but yeah, it was poorly executed for sure.
I think we've covered most of the recent news that has come up here in January of the new year related to Disney Vacation Club. I will say that we have had a lot more news and a lot more stuff go on in January than I ever expected for Disney Vacation Club so far. So we're kind of shaping up to be an exciting 2024. Rob, any last thoughts on any of the topics we've discussed tonight, or anything that you've heard us jabber on about and sort of said to yourself, no, I don't agree with that?
No, I think we were in general agreement with most of the topics, and especially after Amy had given her opinion.
Rob's gonna get like a thank you card from Amy after the show. Like, thank you for agreeing with me. I love you.
He's gonna book
So
her that cruise for
outnumbered.
Valentine's Day.
Well, that's going to do it for the news for this month. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to report on. We may, later this week after we get the information related to the price per point for the cabins and all of that, do a live stream later this week. So be on the lookout for that on dvcfan.com or within the DVC Fan Facebook group. And as always, if there's more breaking news or anything like that happening related to Disney Vacation Club, we will be here to chat about it because that's what we like to do in our spare time on a Wednesday evening between the hours of 5 to 8 p.m. So until next week's episode of the DVC show, for myself, Paul, for Hippie Derek, for James Bond Jeff, and for whoever this guy is, we hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the DVC show, and we will see you all next Monday.